puts us at 82, 49, and 8 on the season, hitting at a 62.5% clip.
Back-to-back golden boots. That's 3 in a row for me. 3 too, man. Like, not a dime. That's called being for the people.
It's over! The Columbus Crew, 2023 MLS Cup champions!
All righty. Yes, sir. We are back. This is the MLS Live podcast on Sports Profit TV. As always, I am Cooper, and with me is Garrett at Just Some Footy. Great week last week. Crushed another 3-unit. We told you guys, before the show, during the show, going into the weekend. Those of you that have been with us for a minute, y'all know kind of how we roll with the 2 units and the 3 units. And I got to give you your flowers, brother. Great call on the Inter Miami team total over 1.5. It did move a lot. I mean, I think what do we get? -145, ends up closing like -220-ish. So, and we said that was going to happen too, right? So, great week. That's three very solid weeks out of our last 4. Haven't had many real bad weeks this year, and when we have had down weeks, we have bounced back. So, welcome in everybody, and hop in the chat. I see some people lighting up already. Garrett, how we feeling?
Good, man. Like I said, yeah, I'm pleased with last weekend. Profit is profit, and that's the name of the game. And so it was good to be able to hit that big play. We talk about it. We saved those 3 units for the absolute bangers, and that was just a wrong price. And so we slapped it. Hopefully, those watching slapped it as well, and it paid off.
Yeah, it did pay off, and it was one of those that you kind of watch, and Miami did their normal kind of out of the block, slow kind of meander around, and then what was it, like 2 goals in 5 or 10 minutes before the end of the half, right?
Yeah, it was wild, man. Like, they went down 1, and so I hit them live with their double chance was some juice, and then I hit the team total over 1.5 again. I ended up having just 6 or 7% on that game when it was all said and done, because they went down again. And I mean, it just always pays, dude. It's ridiculous. This team, they're an absolute machine. Like, when they turn it on, no one can stop them.
Yeah, I was talking earlier today with somebody about Miami next season. The stadium's going to be finished, right?
For Miami?
Yeah. I think it is.
I think so for 25. Don't hold me to that though. Like,
yeah. So
I haven't checked on an update in a while as far as like everything's still on, course.
Yeah, we have the potential to have. I mean, look, Miami's already absurd, right? But we have the potential to have a team unlike anything MLS has ever seen, playing in that beautiful brand new stadium in Miami. Because who knows who they get in the summer window. Half their players that they brought in for this season are out for the year or banged up, right? So as good as Miami is this year, it could just be that much more ridiculous next season. So it's going to be a really fun process, and in the nearer future, the summer transfer window, I'm very much looking forward to. I think it's going to be really fun. A lot of big names already being linked, and there's going to be some big splashes. So that should be a lot of fun. But all righty, let's get into it. Yeah, we got some midweek MLS going on right now. A couple of you guys mentioned it in the chat. Garrett, I know you did a pretty good job with it so far tonight. You did target some unders, which is historically have been good bets for midweek MLS. MLS is not the deepest league in the world, so when you get the rotation going on, you get the short rest, things can get a little choppy, and you can get some nice prices on unders. So nice work there. But we are going to do our best now that we're through some of the midweek games, kind of have a better idea who rotated, who did, and all that stuff. So we're going to crank out a few plays for you guys. Let's go here real quick. I'll plug these guys at the beginning of the show, and make sure you guys are giving us a like. It really does us a lot of good. So like the video, make sure you guys are following us on Twitter as well. But yeah, Odds Jam, these guys are the official partner of the show. Great guys at Odds Jam. They basically specialize in betting tools. So they give you an edge by finding you plus EV opportunities, arbitrage opportunities that's basically guarantees profit. If you're more interested in that, finding out about it, just DM me and I can shoot you some screenshots or just kind of fill you in on how it works. And if you already have been looking into it and you know that you want to sign up, if you're looking to do plus EV or arbitrage stuff, use my promo code at the link in the video. It's PROF35, PROPH 35. And let me get my slides in order because we are going to jump right into it. We are rocking and rolling. First game on the docket. This is a rivalry. I don't know what it's called, but it is a rivalry. Toronto is hosting Montreal, and Garrett, this is yours.
So I'm going to take Toronto money line at plus money here versus Montreal as Toronto is hosting them. Tonight they're playing in Nashville, and it's basically an MLS Next Pro team as they have 5 suspensions. They rotated some players, but you got Bernadeschi, Kevin Long, Sean Johnson all suspended tonight. Should be there for the Saturday as long as this investigation closes out. There was a lot of stuff that happened in Toronto and NYCFC's matches.
Oh yeah,
last weekend. The MLS is still investigating it as far as who did what. If the suspensions are going to be any longer than 1 game, like Richie Larea was recommended a 3-game suspension, and that dude still hasn't come back to play yet, like from being injured. So just a wild game. And then they had Flores on the bench tonight. So I think Toronto's going to have like a fairly rested side versus Montreal here when it's all said and done, which I like as Montreal is also playing midweek. Toronto's been solid at home this season, winning 4 of their 6 matches so far. Montreal has one of the worst goal differentials on the road at -8. Their strikers are still hurt. And it just goes back to what I've said about Montreal all season in that it's a good system, but they are lacking talent.
Yeah.
And you have a Toronto side that is surprisingly pretty good right now. And so to get them at plus money here, I'm going to fire on that, just given the setup and how I think Toronto is going to look Saturday versus how Montreal is going to look.
Yeah, I like the approach that you're taking here. Essentially what you're doing because of the suspensions and all the shenanigans last game, Toronto is missing several starters for their game that's going right now. So they're basically getting rest. Montreal is not because they're having to run out their starters tonight. Like you said, Montreal also banged up in the attacking third of the field. And yeah, at what point does this Montreal team, like you said, like there's just no talent. There's just very little talent on this Montreal team. And at what point, I mean, it's a long season, right? So we're about a third of the way through the season at this point. There are gonna be lulls in the season for certain teams, and we're going to do our best to kind of read those situations and dig into as much information as possible and kind of target some of those lulls, because Montreal somewhat overperformed with their talent to start the year, surprised some people a little bit that they weren't just the worst team in the league, right off the bat. But that roster hasn't changed. They've only taken some injuries. And Toronto, I do think, is a little bit undervalued, to be honest with you. I felt like this for a lot of the season. Obviously, no Insigne for a little while longer. He's still dealing with injury, but I loved the addition of Derek Etienne Jr. because they needed some speed out wide with Larea, dealing with injuries himself. This Spicer kid that they got in the super draft has actually impressed me quite a bit. I mean, he's not a superstar, but I think he is a good starter, and I didn't know if that was going to happen. I didn't know much about him before they got him, so I've been impressed with him. Obviously, went and got Matty Longstaff as well. So this is a team.
All the Longstaffs out there.
Yeah. So, and Toronto at home here, right? So Toronto at home plus money against a banged up Montreal side. Toronto's got the rest advantage. I think Toronto's a little bit better than the market has given them credit for so far this season. So I'm on board with it. The cherry on top is the rest advantage for me, for sure. All righty, let's keep it moving. All right, next game. I hope I'm going the right direction. Yes, I am. All right. I'm going to go back to a team that I targeted, I think 2 weeks ago and cashed for us with Real Salt Lake. They're at home here. We talked about this one before the show. Obviously, you're not getting your normal elevation boost with Real Salt Lake because they're playing Colorado, who plays their games, at 5,200 feet. So both of these teams will be acclimated to the elevation. So you're not really getting your normal Real Salt Lake elevation boost so much here. But this is about the game on the field for me. It'd be nice, but I like what I've seen from RSL this year, and I like that they got Diego Luna back in the lineup. He automatically injected a different element to that attack when he came back from injury. Right? They've got the speed. They've got the guy that can finish every goal with Chicho. So I like the way that RSL looks right now, and also. An interesting narrative about RSL is that they really had a hard time at home last season. Like they really had a hard time at home last season. They have seemed to make that a point to kind of turn the ship around on the home field this year. And so far, so good. They've been much better at home to start the season than they were a year ago. And I'm just has Colorado improved a little bit? Are they starting to gel a little bit more? Yeah, kind of similar to what NYC is doing. Had a lot of new pieces. Obviously, they look better now than they did to start the year, but they just don't really strike fear for me. I'm fine with backing RSL, who I think is just on a different level at home here to be the better team and to get the result.
Yeah. The thing about this play with me, I do like RSL at home here, no doubt. I don't know what prices you'll get, right? Like, so when you have midweek games and then get to the weekend, both RSL and Colorado went pretty strong 11s tonight. So I have to assume there will be some rotation this weekend. And that's the question mark, right? Is you don't know who is going to be on the bench come Saturday. You don't want those key players to be on the bench, obviously. But I like RSL as a whole versus Colorado as a whole. So if you get both teams doing some rotation, I think RSL still pulls it out. I just don't know how this money line is going to fluctuate come Saturday, especially when the 11s are announced. And heaven forbid, Arango's not in or Luna's not in. What that does to the money line. However, it could just be the opposite of the coin, right? Where like RSL takes money. If they especially look good tonight, they're going to take money and they're already up 1-0, I think. And then they won't be playable come the weekend. So you kind of gotta, kind of pick your side of the fence and just plant your flag here. But I do like RSL in this matchup.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there could be some rotation. But that's kind of what makes these midweek slates tricky, when you start looking ahead. But tried to kind of narrow it down tonight and just go with what we like. But all right, next one. This is going to be our 2-unit. I sent out a little tweet earlier, kind of hinted at it. So we are going to have a multi-unit play, and it's going to be involving, of course, Inter Miami and DC United.
Yeah, so I mean, we've talked about Miami almost every show. I'm not going to get into their metrics. Messi didn't play today. It was expected, or at least I expected it, given what was being reported. I mean, because after all, Messi is the most covered player in the league. But there's been no real hint yet that he'll miss Saturday. It's just kind of like, hey, we don't have to play him tonight, so we're not going to play him tonight. I do think Miami's going to still rotate, but it's the same old, right? Like they'll score, they'll concede. Although tonight did go 0-0, I understand that. But typically they'll score, they'll concede, and you're going to have golden boot contenders on either side of the ball this weekend. And so for me, there's got to be goals there. DC got beat down tonight by Red Bulls, so I expect an answer going on the road to Miami. I honestly don't expect Benteke to sit, even though he went the full 90 tonight. DC, just their whole system is built around him. But But DC was getting prepared for the midweek game. They made some obvious scheduled subs at the 55th minute and stuff. So I think you'll still get a fairly strong DC United side. I believe Messi plays Saturday. We'll see. But you'd also had Jordi Alba come off the bench tonight. So they're getting a little more healthier. Some of their guys back that they need. And so yeah, I see goals here for a weekend game.
Yeah, I mean, also it's one of those things. I try not to think about things this way because you want to look at everything in a vacuum, right? You don't want to say like what I was about to say was like tonight was 0-0. Messi didn't go. Now this one's going to be the one with goals, right? I try not to look at things like, oh, no goals last game. So, but I mean, positive regression is a thing. Even though I can kind of throw that away since Messi didn't even play, I wouldn't even really look at it that way because it's two different data sets. But yeah, I like goals here. I also look at
this is the closest thing to like a derby Miami has, right? Like Orlando, Miami, they don't like each other. They're always going to play each other tough. So whatever the scoreline was tonight, there wasn't, I don't think, anything expected. I don't think you should have expected goals, and I don't think you should have expected the under. This is why I was totally off this game tonight, outside of just an anytime goal scorer price that was just way too high, because those kind of matchups can just go any way.
No doubt, yeah, especially with the rotation. I mean, it gets to a point where both teams tactically are just they get conservative. But yeah, I looked at the center back pairings here for Inter Miami, the probable center back pairings. It's going to be probably Freire and the former League MX guy had some time with Pumas, and Kurtsov, the Ukrainian. One is 6 foot, one is 6'1". I mean, I don't know if it even would put me off it if they were both 6'5", to be honest with you, just because Benteke is world class in the air. It almost doesn't matter who the center back is or who's trying to mark him, right? So, but I did want to look and see, like, okay, we don't have two twin towers back there that are going to be marking Benteke. So, yeah, I think DC gets theirs. DC is their attack has been really good. These are obviously the best attack in the league with expected goals with Miami, and then the second or third best with DC. So, absolutely, I think we get goals here. I think this is a fun one.
And speaking of Benteke, the Athletic did a nice little piece on him, just kind of showing his aerial dominance. Since they've been like covering, aerial duels.
Yeah.
The highest in the league that any player has ever had in the MLS in one season, it was 174. He's already at like 130 something. And he's on pace to hit. He's on pace to hit like 200 something. It's ridiculous. He's going to, MLS has never seen anything like this guy in the air.
It makes you really scratch your head at what Wayne Rooney was doing last year.
Well, so I don't fault Wayne. Also tried to make the focal point be Benteke. He didn't have the same team. He wasn't going about it in a similar system as the new coach is, but they both knew like Benteke needs to be the guy I'm focused on. And that's what they did. It was a different style and a different system.
Fair enough.
Rooney's biggest issue with coaching is he didn't understand why players couldn't do what he was doing.
Yeah. Everybody.
Like, when you're so good that you're out of touch with what like reality is for most soccer players, like Rooney just couldn't understand why players weren't able to do what he was doing when he was playing.
Yeah. Not everybody was, dipped in the river of unlimited talent, right? So, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I like it. And I actually forgot to run it here at the bottom. This is the official play. Inter Miami, DC United, both teams have scored plus over 2.5 at -125, and that is our multi-unit play for this week. 2 units. 2 units have been great this year too. I think they've been 3-1 or 4-1. Obviously, just smashed our 3 unit last week. And that's for now. That's all we've got. Just because we wanted to be a little more cautious with the midweek action, kind of see lineups and stuff.
It's just it's hard. Like you had Almada get hurt tonight for Atlanta. Painstill goes out hurt for Galaxy. So there's there's so many things going on in a midweek slate that it's very hard to give out solid plays on a full slate for Saturday until these games finish up, until we get injury reports the next day. And like I can tell you, Amada's probably not playing this weekend. Like that's already
There you
done
go.
deal.
Yeah.
So like if you you just have to like kind of feel that stuff out. So we shot 3 plays that we thought had our best chance of winning based on what we currently know. But I'm sure you'll add to this weekend. I'm definitely probably going to add to this weekend once we get some more information. But this show is reserved for the best plays, our favorite looks. That's what we give every week, and so that's what you got here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. But let's head to the chat. If anybody in the chat has a game that we didn't talk about, we're fine. Giving leans and discussing a little bit. If anybody has a game or a play that kind of comes to mind for you, we can try to give our 2 cents on it.
I think there's a couple of tricky ones. The New York Derby.
I like Red Bulls.
I mean, yeah, but they ain't in Jersey, and it's the New York Derby. Like that. That's one that it's very similar to Orlando and Miami, where like literally anything can happen in that game, and I would not be surprised. For live, I am going to be looking for goals in Portland and San Jose. I like those lineups from an attacking standpoint for both of them. So it's like a juice to 3 right now. I'm going to let it get going, and maybe in that first 10 or 15 minutes, if no goals are scored, I think I'm going to hop on a total there.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Definitely cool with a live total there, just based on lineups. But yeah, the New York Derby, NYCFC's they're obviously getting better. They got some confidence. But to me, that tonight was way more about how bad Philadelphia looked. I mean, both goals you almost could argue shouldn't even have been allowed. I mean, not allowed from VAR, just horrible mistakes. I mean, that goalie, the kid that they got from Lou City, you mentioned, I think a couple weeks ago, he either stands on his head or like lets a goal in that has no business going in. So yeah, I'm still.
I would not expect to see Blake this weekend either. I think coming back from injury, playing on the turf in New England, I just don't see Philly risking that. So if Blake doesn't play this weekend, I would not be surprised. It is tough because it is New England. I don't want to say New England is a live dog, but I do like goals there. I mean, Philly just can't fix that defense right now. They're just leaking. So yeah, I think goals there could be a move for New England and Philly. But I mean, I'll still say there's not a team with a bigger dog in their chest than Philly. Like even tonight, they let in 2 goals early and it didn't look good. But I mean, they gave a run for a point there at the end.
Let me ask you about a lean that I had written down. FC Cincinnati, they've seemed to have found a striker with the Kelsey kid. FC Cincinnati and St. Louis City both teams to score -130. How do you feel about that?
It's a little juicy for me.
That's the reason it didn't make the show.
With Cincy being at home, a little juicy. I expect Lowen to be back for St. Louis this weekend, maybe just on the bench because it's his first game back from injury.
Yeah.
But no, I like Cincy. I do think Cincy's going to have to rotate some more here this weekend, so I don't know what that lineup's going to look like. St. Louis also isn't very deep. So they can't keep running out the same. They've run out the same guys like 4 games in a row now, coming into tonight with tonight's lineup. So I expect St. Louis to rotate. So I was looking at their money line. It's one of the ones where I kind of want to get a feel for who Cincy is going to play. But I like, I like Cincy. I like Cincy there. I believe at home. As long as Cincy can score, they've turned a corner. The defense has been there all season. The defense is good. It's their inability to score. Like, it can't be all on Acosta. And Acosta now has found, I believe he had this tonight. Acosta's found Kelsey twice now, both headers. Like, so he's clearly looking for him in the air.
Yeah.
So I dig that tandem a lot now. Kelsey's looking like he might be the real thing. But Pinza might be out for months. Like, dude broke his jaw. So I don't know when he's going to come back, right? So it's going to be Kelsey going forward, I think, for a while.
Golly, that's such a wild situation.
Sporting Kansas City plus 220 at Austin. Question mark.
I hate Austin so much. I don't know who even. I mean, I liked Houston tonight a lot better than I liked Sporting Kansas City because I felt like Houston could keep Austin out. Of course, Houston hasn't scored any, and then Austin scored 88th minute goal. But Houston did outplay Austin on the field, and the whole second half, they definitely were the better team. But that's the game. I mean, that happens sometimes. So the only reason I would say no to Sporting Kansas City is just because I don't trust their defense. I actually kind of liked goals in that game a little bit. I feel like that game could. I mean, look at Kansas City's games this year. They're open, and Austin at home. They open it up a little bit more, but I don't know. Austin's confusing me as a fan and as a handicapper. But I'm probably going to go to the Austin-Portland game, the midweek game, not next Wednesday, but the next Wednesday. So looking forward to that.
I do expect teams that have guys going to Copa America. I do expect teams to pretty much run them into the ground up into the tournament because they won't have them for up to a month. So that's why I think Messi plays this weekend. If he can go, he's going because Miami's going to miss him for a month.
When does Copa America start?
June 14th, I believe.
Oh, okay. Got a little time. And then Leagues Cup is after that?
Yeah, I think Copa America runs into Leagues Cup a little bit.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, it's just let's just play as many games and make as much money as humanly possible.
Man, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. Cool. All righty. Well, short show today, but we knocked it out. Got three official plays out to you guys. Again, just one more reminder to make sure you like the video, and I'm going to run these down here at the bottom one more time in order. Toronto FC to win at plus 110. Then we're going Real Salt Lake to win. A little juicy, but I think they'll get the job done. Minus 135. And then our 2 unit to end the show, Inter Miami and DC United, both teams to score plus over 2.5 at minus 125. But yeah, that's going to do it. And probably we'll let you guys know. It's we're probably good with Wednesday next week, and then the next week may have to move it to Tuesday, but we'll figure it out. And again, thanks for joining us, guys. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at MLSLIVE Podcast. Anything, Garrett?
No, as always, we just appreciate your support. So thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for participating in this, liking and subscribing and all that jazz. And best of luck on your best this weekend.
Best of luck, guys. I'm not sure if we're still live because it's not ending. Dang, it's never done that before.